All right. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that I haven't been able to meet, my name is Marcia Malum, and I serve as the Assistant Dean of Students here at the College of St. Benedict, and I also serve as the Director of Campus Recreation and Club Sports. I am an alum of St. Ben's and have been here a while. I'm not old, I just started when I was really, really young, and am starting my 23rd year here at the college. I look forward to having the opportunity to meet each and every one of you while you are working. And hopefully, when you see me, you say hi and introduce yourself so that we get to know one another and work together in what we are doing here in campus recreation. I wanted to touch a little bit on what campus recreation does here for the campus. We're here to serve, to promote, to encourage, and to empower young women and young men to be the best of themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And we do that through a variety of programs and services so that students have an active outlet while they're here at St. Ben's and St. John's. We certainly provide resources, programs, and services and access to our facilities to faculty and staff as well, with our primary goal being to serve the young women who attend here at the College of St. Benedict. You will hear and you will see information about Benny Time as well. And that was established for a couple of reasons. One is we have limited space in our facility, and it was a way to really prioritize the use of our facility because St. Ben's students pay for the equipment that is in that facility. And so we give priority time at the peak time that the facility is used by our young women, which is Monday through Friday from 4 to 7 p.m. You will get questions from patrons asking why, being frustrated, and really to help them understand that this is something that we do to serve the women at the College of St. Benedict, but we certainly welcome all members of our community here before and after that Benny time because we really want to make sure that we provide a welcoming, comfortable atmosphere for all. And there are statistical studies out there that show there are some women who prefer to be in a single gendered facility. And so we want to make sure that we provide that place and that space for every student here at the College of St. Benedict to feel comfortable and welcome to use our facilities during that time. We want to make sure that everybody here has fun while they participate in our activities. And your role is critical in making that happen and to be the best that you can be while you are here at work, being a servant leader to the patrons that are in our facility, whether it is students participating in intramurals, students who have questions about group exercise classes, the equipment in our fitness center, questions about the hours in our pool, or any question that might come about. We also host a variety of events and activities in our complex that might bring external folks into our facilities. And your job is to be that face of the College of St. Benedict, to be welcoming, to be inviting, and to be really helpful to the folks that are here so that we put our best foot forward in our programs and our services offered by Campus Recreation and hosted within our facility. I'm going to talk about some institution policies as they relate to you as an employee here in Campus Recreation. There are a variety of institutional policies that relate to you as a student and a member of our community, but I'm going to talk specifically about some policies as they relate to you working here in Campus Recreation and what your responsibilities are. On the institution website, there is a human rights page. Linked to that are policies and some forms and other information that you can reference at your own leisure. But I want to specifically talk about a couple policies here, and that would be minors on campus or child protection policies, as well as sexual misconduct policies. You are going to hear and you are going to see a lot while you're at work, sometimes hearing conversations that you perhaps do not want to hear. A couple things to be mindful of. If there are minors on campus, they're here for a clinic, they're here for a campus event, they're here for family weekend, for example. And if you hear or you see any concerning information or actions with regards to a child, a minor, it is important that you report that information to Amanda or myself. You are not an investigator by any means. You do not have to seek additional information, but it's important that you let us know what you saw or what you observed or what you heard while you were on duty so that we, as the full time administrative staff, can then take that information forward. So, an example, if you heard a child talking to another child over by the water fountain, something that her uncle did to her, inappropriate touch or sexual misconduct, you do have a responsibility to report that information to Amanda or myself. You can give a description of the child. If you know the full time staff that are working that event, to let a camp counselor or a coach know of the conversation that you heard, because we as employees at this institution have a responsibility to report this information under child protection laws. Again, you don't have to do anything beyond that, but to make sure that you report that information. Same thing with sexual misconduct. There may be times where you overhear conversations among students who are talking about weekend activities at a party, or it might be individuals who are in a relationship who are in an argument, or one asking the other to leave because they don't want them around. You don't want to assume the worst. You always want to assume the best, but you do have a responsibility, again, to report that information to Amanda or myself. You don't have to necessarily confront that person or that information that is being shared. That is for Amanda or myself. But if I am in the campus recreation area and I hear students talking about inappropriate behaviors that were happening at a party, I do step in, let them know that I am a mandated reporter, and that perhaps they want to have this conversation elsewhere. Or if they continue to have this conversation, I have a responsibility to report the information that is being disclosed. That is a very awkward and uncomfortable situation, and not something that we would ever ask you as a peer to confront, but you do need to let us know. If you feel uncomfortable about the information that's being shared, however, you can say, hey, why don't you guys take this conversation? Occasionally, we have had situations where boyfriends and girlfriends are in an argument or fighting. And so it's important that you let Amanda or one of the staff down here know that you have some concerns, just so that the situation doesn't escalate any further. If at any point that you have concerns or questions about what you might see or hear while you're on duty, please always have that conversation with Amanda or myself, and we can certainly work with you to take that information elsewhere to make sure that the individuals that are involved are being cared for and that they have the resources to best support them in a time of need. If you or if you ever have a roommate or you yourself have an unfortunate situation that occurs that you have some concerns around, our doors are always open. Our phones are always available to you. We are here to support you in all entities of life, including those times when perhaps you are in situations that you weren't prepared for, you're unsure what happened or what to do. And we're here to help support you and point you or your roommates in the right direction at any point in time. All right, folks, now I'm here to talk about emergencies. Emergencies don't happen often, but it is important that you are best prepared to deal with those emergencies if and when they do happen while you're on duty. We have a variety of incidences that happen while you perhaps are here at work that could be constituted as emergencies. Those could be medical emergencies, such as diabetic emergencies, allergic reactions, blood sugar issues, you name it, dislocated shoulders, sprained ankles, to facility emergencies, a toilet that's overflooding, a sink that is backed up and flooding, to random things that might happen in our locker room that need emergency attention. There's also high risk emergencies that could potentially happen. These are very infrequent, but it could be weather related emergencies such or fires that are alarmed on our campus to potentially a suspicious person that is in the area or in our building. So it's really important that you are aware and that you are best prepared to handle those situations. We do ask that all desk attendants and intramural officials be CPR, first aid, and AED certified. We provide that training for you. There is no additional cost out of your pocket. Please make sure that you talk to Amanda if you need certification or you need to recertify your existing certification. That will give you baseline first response information so that you can handle those medical emergencies that may come into play. This handheld radio is at the recreation desk. This is your lifeline to very quick and easy access to campus security. Campus security is your frontline folks that you would contact in the event of an emergency. This radio always sits in the charger. Be sure that when it is sitting in the charger, that the radio is completely turned off with that larger button. If you don't do that when you set it in the charger, and if the radio is on, it will deplete the battery and the radio doesn't work. To use the radio, simply pull it out of the charger, turn that larger knob until you hear that beep, and here in the silver button is to go from channel 1 to channel 2. On the back is a cheat sheet of important folks that you need to get a hold of, security being channel 2. So if I have a medical emergency or a facility emergency, I'm going to flip that silver switch and I'm going to press and hold the button on the side, and I'm going to say campus rec to security, and I'm going to release. That's going to allow me to listen to their response, and they're going to say security, go ahead. I'm going to press and I'm going to hold, and I'm going to be very clear and precise with my emergency. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. If you have somebody who is in a lot of pain in the field house because they have a dislocated shoulder, it's very important that you clearly and concisely communicate that, because an officer has to respond to the emergencies of the entire campus, and they're going to triage and prioritize their response based on the information that they're given. So if you press and hold and say campus rec to security, and you say, yeah, we have somebody who fell in the field house and we're looking for some assistance, that is going to initiate a very different and slower response than campus rec to security. You wait for their response, you press and hold, and you say, I have a participant who dislocated her shoulder, is in extreme pain, and I need immediate assistance. That is going to escalate their response. So it's really important that you are clear and concise with the level of the emergency that you are dealing with so that they know the response that they need to initiate. When you're done with the radio, simply turn the knob until you hear it click and put it back into the charger so it's ready for folks who may need it. If you're working and you hear the fire alarm, you must evacuate the building. Nobody is going to come around and say, by the way, you need to get everybody out. The campus is just too large. Anytime you hear the fire alarm, that is your indication, and it is your responsibility to get folks out of the building. You would evacuate the fitness center through the main entrance and exit doors or the fire exit door off of the weight room. Folks that are in the field house can exit the two side fire exit doors, or they can go out the patio doors that are down by the group exercise studio. Folks that are in the group exercise studio can exit those patio doors. When you exit folks and evacuate folks out of those doors, you not only need to get them out on the patio, they need to go up the stairs and away from the building. Make sure that if you are evacuating the building, that the first thing you grab is this handheld radio. You turn it on and you listen to the security channel. They will give the all clear on that radio, or you can call them and indicate that you are inquiring whether the building is all clear. In the event that there is a tornado in the area and it is indicated by our campus communication systems, or if by chance an officer contacts you or comes down to the desk to say that folks need to not leave the Hain and they should go into the shelter. Couple places that you can get folks into. The Claire Lynch locker rooms are designated as shelter areas, as well as the men's faculty staff locker room, student locker room, and the women's faculty staff locker room. You want to be in the most inner area of the building, away from windows. The fitness center does not count. A lot of people will say, well, I'm in the basement, who cares? But we have to think about exposure to windows, and the field house is not a place that we want folks. That is probably, if a tornado were to come through, one of the first places that could be at risk because of the high ceiling and the openness and the exposure of that facility. So we really want to get folks into the innermost area of the building. And that means they're going to have to step away from their machine. They're going to have to stop what they're doing, and they're going to have to go in shelter. It is not your job to keep people in this building. They should know, based on the notification, that we don't want them leaving the Hain to walk across campus or walk to their home in St. Joe. But you do not need to stop them. You do not need to tackle them in the hallway to get them to stay. But your job is to get the folks that are in the building into that safe zone. Again, you want to make sure that you grab this handheld radio so that you are in communication with security, so that you know what is going on. Make sure you turn it on and you can listen to the communication that is happening between the officers who are in contact with the weather spotters as well. Make sure that you have your individual phones registered on the emergency notification system that the institution has. If there's severe weather, if there is a suspicious person or something that the entire community needs to be notified on, they are going to use that system to communicate to campus. It's very difficult and almost impossible to call all front desks or have somebody come around and notify folks. And so it's really important that you take an active role in making sure that you are registered with your phone so that you can get campus-wide emergency notifications in the event one does come across. You're also going to get on that with weather if classes start late or classes are canceled. And I know for a fact you are going to want to have that information. So make sure you get registered, because it's going to cover a variety of situations that community-wide we need to notify our student body and our faculty and our staff to make sure that you and everyone on our campus are safe during their time here. One other item that I want to follow up on is blood. Occasionally we will have somebody who gets a bloody nose or has an injury where they are bleeding on the floor, on the carpet, and there's a couple things that I want you to keep in mind. You are not certified by the institution to be an employee that is responsible to do the cleanup. However, you are an employee that has a responsibility to make sure that the area is secure so that nobody else would potentially be exposed to that. And you also have to initiate the protocol to get it cleaned up. Call security. Have them come down. There is always an on-call custodian whenever there is an incident like this that would come in and clean it up. If it is during intramurals, for example, and it is on the playing area, like the basketball court during basketball intramurals, the game needs to stop until that area is cleaned up. Use the cones that are under the desk. Use garbage cans, whatever you have to do to secure that area so that nobody will walk or be in that area until it is cleaned and cleared. If it is during the day or as you work in the evenings and you get to know some of our custodians and you know that they're on duty, you can also use this radio, handheld radio, just like I described earlier, to call the on call custodian who can come down and assist. If someone unfortunately makes the choice to run from the field house or to run from Claire Lynch across the carpet and into a bathroom or a locker room, it is important that number one, you follow them to make sure that they're okay. If they need additional assistance, perhaps you will need to make a call to security to offer some additional assistance to them. But also think about if it's a bloody nose, for example, and they're running across the carpet, the chance that a blood drip or two may be on the carpet or the paper towels that they use to try to stop the bleeding end up in the garbage. We still need to make sure that that gets cleaned and or disposed of properly. And so your first line of response or defense, I guess, is to call security. They will assist in making sure that that material, that garbage, is disposed of properly and that they call the custodian to help treat the carpet as well. If you ever have questions or concerns, the best thing is to err on the side of caution. Thinking about cross-contamination and making sure that your job is to just make sure to reduce the likelihood that someone else is going to be exposed to the risk of those bodily fluids. If you do that, you're doing your job and you're doing it well, but you are not responsible for the cleanup of them.